And do this whole thing. Hey guys, what's going on? Today is Thursday. Come on and join me live. Give me some stack of decks, tapes, CDs, something. I'm used to the box now. Now the box is gone. The box is gone. There was a whole box in here last week. Remember? We was using that last week. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. What's going on, everybody? Come on live with us today. We're here in the studio, 104.5 FM. I'm tired of this little paper or this little mule, camel, whatever it is. Come and don't want to sit up right for me. Never do. It never wants to sit up correctly when I need it to. What's going on, everybody? Today is Thursday. Come on live with us today. We're at the studio, 104.5. I don't really know what's happening other than the fact that we're here. We're in the studio today. It looked like it was about getting ready to storm. I guess coming in. You know, ain't no telling what's about to take place out there. Everybody gets to some safety, I guess. Guess we can talk about that. We could talk about being safe in the storms. But gotta talk about. Anyway, I hope nobody ain't doing any little things today. What is that? It's not a one of those days, Andre. Today's not one of those days where people do their swimming. We ain't got time for that today. You said you never know. Hey, what's going on? Come on, live with us today. Hey, James, what's going on? Live in the studio today. Your fan favorite. I have made my return back into the building. Today is just going to be, I don't know. We got 6 minutes before we go live in the studio today. Everybody get on live with me. Let's have a little conversations about what's going on out here in the world. What's going on out here in the world? Everybody is at a fast pace, rush, this, that, and the other. I'm just like, how you doing, James? I'm good. You know what? Grateful. In a grateful mindset today. You know, a lot of people ain't out here showing their trueness to it all, but I definitely am. You know, I definitely am showing some gratitude about how things have been working out. So I know a lot of people are going through some things in the world right now. Today, everybody getting adjusted to living in their norms and living in their means, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Now, not operating outside of it anymore, I guess, you know? Everybody's doing their own thing, though. You know, I'm wondering how often or how much people are really trying to invest in taking care of themselves and taking care of others, you know? We're out here living in some different times now, and I'm wondering what the upcoming year is going to look like. Thank you so much, James. I appreciate you. But I wonder how the upcoming summer is going to look like, how the upcoming year is about to look like. What are we going to have to do differently, if anything at all? You know, tariffs are being imposed, you know, and all these different circumstances. Also, we got to talk about where your soul is at. Hey, what's going on, Bree? And not too much. You know, are you excited about the brand new nephew? Well, we've been video timing me with the little man that they still ain't decided to finish his name. D'Avery and Rylan been looking at their brand new baby brother. My baby brother. I know they finna have a field day when he get back to the house. You know what I'm saying? They get to enjoy some time spending it. You know, congratulations to my son once again in Malaysia for having their little bundle of yellow. He's a bundle of yellow. Bless his little heart. He a cute little guy. I didn't expect anything less, you know what I'm saying? We just have beautiful children in the family, you know. Thank God for his grace and his mercy carrying Malaysia through that. Because that ain't no easy feat. Especially when you're talking about giving birth to a child. And you go through death, is what they say. You know that? Have you heard that?
I heard that.
Yeah, you go through death when you deliver. So, you know, women are some strong beings out here in the world. In order for us to reproduce society. They coloring right now, Brie. But, you know, yeah, it's a lot. But I looked at the news before I got in here today that Jasmine Crockett, they finna get ready to come after her. So I hope people out here sending prayers up for her. Literally, because I know she gonna go through some hate. If she's not already receiving it now. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, I know that she is. You know, I know that she is. So it's kind of terrible. It's 2:58, everybody. Like and share my videos for me. Share them across your social media platforms so that we can get a good following for today. I don't know what we got to talk about. Hey, Daniel. I see you on now. But got to even put on my new pair for you, Daniel. But let's see what's going on out here in the world today. You know, do my professionalism to the best of my abilities. It's 2:59 right now, Andre. Like, things are just transpiring very quickly. Like, the microphone just is doing what it want to do. All right, everybody. I work at 104.5. This is WRFU. We're in Champaign, Urbana, Illinois. So if you're on, let me know. Listen to me live as well. Thanks so much for tuning in to me today, guys. It is now 3 p.m. and we are on lives with Afternoons with Delight. Like I said, thanks again for tuning in to me today. And before we get started, you know what I have to do at the top of the hour. Each hour, I got to do my legal ID, Andre. And this is WRFU LP Urbana. This is our disclaimer. WRFU is an open forum for the Urbana Champaign community. Views expressed are those of the speaker and guests, and they are not intended to represent WRFU UCIMC. Andre, we're here. So before I do anything else, guys, I also give the introduction of who's in the studio with me today. And Andre's here.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing out there?
Everybody, how are ya? Leah is back in the corner. She does her get out of my face wave. But thanks so much for tuning in to us today, guys. It is now Thursday. Andre, can you believe that we are in the last week fully of the month, right?
Last full week and first full week of spring, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Alexander, you said, okay, I need to get with you. Got some questions. Absolutely, Alexander. You can either hit me up on my live on Facebook. I go by Mika Light. Andre goes by Andre Light. If you want to reach out to me, you can inbox me there as well. If If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and for the people that are listening over the airwaves, let me give a special shout out to my California listeners. And also let me give a special shout out to my cousin Shannon and my sister Trisha. They're probably online listening to me today. I really appreciate that. So, Andre, people are going to be I've heard that we've been listened to all over the world and out of the States right now.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, so, you know, we might be getting some clout.
Yeah. We ain't local no more.
We're not local, Andre. We worldwide. Worldwide, man. International, right?
Yeah.
But, listen, today is gloomy. It started out sunny.
Yeah. Early.
Right. So what's the
It's
weather?
It's a hit or miss kind of weather. It's like
It
spotty.
is. It was kind of nice when we just came in.
Yeah.
For a minute, you know, because I didn't wear a winter coat today, and now I feel like I made a mistake. A little bit.
A little bit.
Little bit.
It's supposed to be 70 something tomorrow.
Is it really? But is it supposed to be storming tomorrow as well? Because I
Like
heard
another,
that.
Another scattered hit or miss type of thing.
See, but you know, hey, this is spring.
Yeah.
This is what we expect, right?
Yes.
Yeah, spring is sprung. What does it say? April showers bring May flowers. That's usually been the logo since I've been a little girl. How about you?
Yeah. Usually it doesn't work like that. Usually April snow brings summer heat.
We're in Illinois.
Yeah, we're in Illinois.
We're in Illinois, so we're subject to receive all 4 seasons in one day.
Right.
You know, West Tennessee was like that when we were living down there too. In Jackson, it used to be some of everything was going on there. Most often in one day. So anyway, guys, you know, we had some conversations about all kind of various things, but there was something on the news that caught my attention when we got ready to come in, and it was right before I got on the air. I made mention of it about that's Jasmine Crockett, right?
Right.
So you heard, like she said, some deplorable things about the governor of Texas, right? Because she's a representative, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so she said some things about him, and also they were doing a little comparison of her saying those things compared to what Donald Trump had said as well, because he made fun of somebody with special needs as well, and that was kind of just like, you know, who's the bigger bad person?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't, you know, they were trying to say that Jasmine Crockett is a bully, all these different things like that. And I'm just like, I didn't want to get too opinionated because this is just conversation, you know, but we've seen a lot of things during that election that were just, you know, just the election process, right? Before the election took place, all the things that were said, all the things that were done during that time period were really questionable. Really questionable. So I'm just telling people to be mindful of what you get out in front of people and say, you know. And one thing about, like I say, about the radio and about social media, whatever you put up on there, you know, can be retracted at a later date,
Right.
to be used against you.
Yes.
You know, so it's like you have to be very careful ever since this social media platform came into play. Because text messages, when people can come to you and like, I got receipts.
Yeah.
You know, when people can say that to you, you got to be careful what you put out here, people, in order to, you know what, I just think you got to be a person of integrity all the way around the board.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like, you know, I'm not saying that I've lived a perfect life. I've said some stuff. I've said some crazy things. I've done some crazy things, as we all have, I'm sure. So don't be making it seem like, oh my God, Miss Mika, it's you? No, it's all of us.
Right.
It's all of us, you know. So hopefully you'll learn your lessons that things can be used against you.
Yeah.
And do not do anything your 20, 30-year-old later self
Right.
cannot look back on and be like,
Yeah, especially when they record it or, send messages.
right, Andre, videotapes.
Yeah.
That's been that right there alone has caught up so many politicians.
Right.
They got a tape of you,
Yeah. But it wasn't really me. It was kind of blurry,
Yeah. What's that song? It wasn't me. Say like, it was absolutely you, sir. Ma'am, it was absolutely you. But be careful of what you put out here in the world because people will use even segments of what you say.
Yeah. They'll chop it up and that's not even what you really said. But
Yeah.
as long as it's out there, you got to disprove it. Now you got to disprove it.
Yeah, you're going to spend most of your time trying to rebuild your character back up. So be careful about, what y'all put out in the world for people to.
Especially in the heat of anger or.
You'll say some of the most atrocious things, won't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a really interesting conversation with somebody today, Andre, and I really wanted to bring your manly perspective in on these idealisms and things. And a lady had a conversation with me earlier, and we were talking about the cell phone and the fact of, like, she was relating what her situation was. So she was like, I've been in a relationship with a man for, like, approximately 2 years, right? I've been in this relationship with this man for approximately 2 years, and he will not allow me to touch his cell phone device. Not at all. And so she was like, I pay the bill. And so she asked him, could he share his location with her? And he said, you trying to control me. She then relayed the message to him that she wasn't trying to control him. She was merely looking out for her,
Looking out for him, trying to make sure he's safe.
Right.
Type of thing.
Right. Okay.
Which a man doesn't need that. I don't need you to look out and make sure I'm safe. It's supposed to be the other way around. I'm just saying for a man.
I mean, okay. I
don't need nobody saying, nah, I'm looking out for you, making sure you're safe.
I mean,
Okay, no, I don't need that.
So you don't think that was her real?
It wasn't a real. That was just something.
It wasn't her real.
Intention. No.
Okay. It wasn't her real intention.
If he really needs looking out for like that, I don't think she should be with him. Because he's not going to be able to look out for her.
So you're spinning it on a whole nother ball game.
Yeah,
okay.
That's how it's going to come off. When somebody says that to me, as a manly thing.
Okay, so when somebody says that to you as a man, in your perspective, you're like, no.
Now, if you want to know where I'm at or something like that,
right.
Just say that. Don't say that you looking out for me, seeing if I'm safe, because that's not true. Because I don't need anybody to protect me. Now, if you want to know where I'm at, or you want to know where I've been going, you
right?
have to say that.
Okay. So she felt that like she was just looking out for him. Just in case he got into a car wreck or anything like that. She was like, well, I wanted to make sure that I knew where he was at if this situation ever occurred.
Yeah.
Which is a possibility.
Yeah.
Now, you can't ever say.
Yeah, but how likely is that possibility? Not very likely.
Okay, it's not likely.
It's not maybe 5-10% maybe.
Okay, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but she was just very adamant to him. Like, sir, I was just trying to look out for you. I wasn't trying to. You don't believe that?
That's not gonna fly. No.
So do you think?
You can say that's. I wanted to know where you's at, or just in case I need to get a hold of you, but not looking out for my safety. No. That's not gonna fly.
Well, ladies, that's not gonna fly as an excuse. So, but I mean, her thing was this, like, because of the reason why he got so animated with his anger,
right,
which made her go even harder.
Right.
because she's like,
So now it's gonna be a war.
why are you so angry if I'm just asking you to share your location?
But you're not asking to share my. You're asking like I can't take care of myself as a man.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
That's what that is. It's
So-
not just my location.
Right. So it makes you feel
like you taking my manlyhood. Like I can't take care of myself.
okay.
Like if I go out, I'm gonna get in trouble.
hey, Divine.
You know.
Does it make you feel like it's like a childish?
Yeah, type of like
I'm coming to you like I'm
like-
your mother.
Right, kind of like that.
Okay. You know what? I didn't even look at it from that aspect. I mean, I went directly to how I think women, you know, and if I'm wrong, women, and if you jump online with me or if you say something, I thought of it to the degree of where a woman would be like, you know, now you cheat.
Now, where you get that from? See,
Because-
it jumped from looking out for my safety. So now, you see how far that jumped?
You see what I'm
It
saying?
went
Though?
from
It
1 to
did.
10. It went from
It
1
did.
to 10.
It did. Andre, it did. It immediately went that far because, like, I'm like, oh my God, why would he get so animated with his
Right.
anger? But now that you're explaining it to another light, okay.
Because you making me feel like I'm weak. That I can't take care of myself if I go out. And,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying?
Okay. See, I never thought of. I wouldn't
Right.
have. I could have thought of it like that, but that wasn't my first
All right.
thought.
Right.
No.
So now the lines of communication are totally
Blurred.
super blurred.
Oh my gosh, Andre. Because see what I'm saying?
Right.
Your whole interpretation, but because of that conversation, now we got an understanding. But most people aren't even getting.
Right.
Now we totally.
Right.
You in another room.
Right.
I ain't talking to you. You probably done left the house and
Yeah.
everything.
Now I'm gonna do something because now you coming at me for no reason. You know. I
Right.
don't care if I do something at this point now.
Right. Yeah, that's
And then
so.
you're gonna be right. Then you're gonna be right. You
Yeah.
know, because I did do something, but it wasn't because
Ooh.
of the reason. Now we done forgot what the reason was about.
Yeah, that's so suspect though, because I'm telling you, you know, and like I said, I'm not here to tell you guys what to do in your relationships.
Right.
That's what you do in your relationships. You know what I mean? But if you're talking to me, and then, I mean, because also, you know what, I think as well, another factor is women can pull each other into chaos based on their last or previous experiences.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they can get you to spiral
Right.
really quick.
Yeah. And also
You like-
at the same time, like, does he want to touch your phone? Does he look at your phone? Does he ask to look at your phone?
Why is the phone such a...
I don't know. You know.
Because,
Like-
you know, when
like-
you can
like-
do so many things on it. And I
Yeah.
think that's the issue right
Yeah.
there.
But if people know what their phone is, people know they're not going to do nothing on their phone if they were smart.
They're not, though,
Yeah.
Andre. They're not. This is the problem because women will find relationships, or not relationship, but conversation
Yeah.
with other women that men are having,
Right.
and then there's a blow up, right?
Right.
And then men will find conversations that women are having,
Right.
and there's a blow up right there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now you're like,
Now you're rewinding everything from the past.
I can't even trust you. But I'm telling you, it goes so deep. That rabbit hole can go so deep. It's ridiculous. But the friend that I was talking to was very upset. And I just asked her a question. I'm like, for me, it's like, and this is just an opinion, if we have intimacy together, surely I can pick up your phone. Surely.
Yeah.
I should be able to answer the calls that come through on your phone. Like if you, hey
But,
baby,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And
Turn the
she
phone
said,
ringing,
right.
yeah.
And she was like, he's
Yeah,
never.
that's a whole different, that's an adding to it. That's an adding to that frustration of not being able to look at the phone.
And so when you're not able to,
When you're not able to,
right.
Just go answer the phone. Just, all your phone's ringing. Here
Andre,
you go.
that's the biggest.
That's another multiplier of that.
This is not pick lotto. The multiplier.
multiplier.
But seriously,
But
for
if
real,
that
for
wasn't
real.
the case,
For real.
If that wasn't the case, the other thing would be, easily
Yeah.
diffused.
Yeah. But that's almost always what that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's the level of trust that you build with one another. So what is acceptable? And we keep having this conversation. We keep circling back around to it because it's very important. I was just having a conversation with Marco last night. Let's dive into that. We just had a conversation last night where, you know, how I've been trying to share the jewels with the young women. And he was talking about, we were talking about temporary placeholders in people's lives, right? And how most women can't understand that because they think there is longevity in the 10 years of me going back and forth into this relationship.
Right.
And so Mark was like, that's a true statement. But, you know, we keep circling back to the fact that women will not, it's like something that they cannot understand.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When they're like,
there's so much put a pedestal on their relationship.
it's not a relationship though.
That's what I'm saying. It's it's a relationship for her.
Right.
It's not a relationship for the other person.
It's
or vice
not,
versa. You know, the men do it the same way too.
men do the same way because domestic violence is a real thing, Andre. Mm-hmm. And you know, just like I know, people that go through situations where, you know, you've seen somebody be in a DV situation. Yeah. And you're like, how did it even go that far? And it was based on the fact that I don't think either one of them knew exactly what the other wanted.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, for it to escalate to such a degree, like, you know, he's long-term thinking, this is my long-term situation. She, on the other turn, has now been, you know, like, I don't want to be in this situation. You know, we just back and forth, but I'm going to see other people, but I'm not going to let him know that I'm seeing other people until he finds out.
Yeah, right. And that's the problem.
That's the problem.
Because now no open communication.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
So you've been doing this the whole 10 years we was together.
And then,
back in the mind, you know? So now all the frustration, the anger come multiply like that.
Yeah. It happens so quickly. Things spin out of control so quickly, you know.
All because of non-communication.
Yeah, all because of that, you know, unfortunately. And unfortunately, because, you know, that barrier cannot just be had in a, you know, and I've heard people say this, like I spent like a weekend with him, or I spent the night with him, or I spent the night with her. And, you know, I just feel like now I'm in love. And you're like, you don't even know this person. Right. You can't just say you love somebody off the rip, but then who are we to judge that? Right. Yeah. You can't, you know.
You might be in love with the idea of that person.
That's a lot of it.
You don't know that person at all.
That's a lot of it.
This is what, you know, he took me out to dinner. He took me here and there, somewhere new.
Yeah, yeah.
He talked to me like a real person, you know, had good conversation. We just did Netflix and chill.
A real person? You know, you better not talk about no Netflix and chill.
You know, some people don't go.
People love that nowadays.
I know, but then when you experience something different, it's like, oh, now I'm on a.
Yeah.
You know, I'm at 100 now because he cares about me. He wants to listen to what I'm talking about.
Oh my goodness!
But we just went out to dinner, had a general conversation.
Truly.
You just never experienced that with your other dates. You
know. No.
Or few and far in between.
Man, I'm telling you. And then you know what? I gotta wonder about this though, Andre. Have we set the bar so low that having real expectations for a healthy, functioning relationship is not even feasible?
Yeah, because you have no idea what it consists of. You have no idea what.
Because you don't see it on television. No. There's nothing to emulate.
No, nothing.
This relationship after that you're seeking.
Right.
Is this the decline in the marriage rate as well?
Yeah, pretty much. Because you have no idea who you're dealing with.
That's a real hard pill to swallow.
Like, man, I didn't know he was beating up women, or I didn't know he was doing this, because you didn't know him.
You never even spent the time to try to get to know. Oh my gosh, yeah, Andre, it's some pure chaos going on out here.
Some people, they don't never meet their family till like a year or two later after they've been dating this person. or they don't have family in their life.
That's a problem
like,
right there.
Why don't you have family in your life? Because, maybe they burned their bridges, or maybe, you don't know what's going on with his family.
Hey,
Or her
Tracy.
family.
Yeah, that's a problem right there. When you don't know what the expectations are and you don't know where they even come from.
Right.
And I think that's what, most people who have been subjected to, like, finding love or finding their assimilation of what they believe was love and what their family, structure was set up on, you'll be really confused when it comes time for you to build.
Right.
And do you find that a lot of people, we never have anything really grounded?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you'll move on from relationship to relationship, not ever really finding your footing or your stepping, because you know what? I don't know what in the world is going on for real.
Right.
Other than, let's go out to eat, let's buy a few clothes, let's go on a trip, but you're not really building any type of...
Right. 'Cause neither one of you are grounded, because, both of you just reeling from the last relationship, or you never know.
Man.
Or trauma.
This is, but that, you know what? We keep talking about that too, Andre, that trauma bonding. Is how a lot of people get into relationships with the person that they're with. And, I hear women say that all the time, or I hear men say that all the time. Like, they really know me.
Right.
And it's like, nah, I know you because you got beat as a child, I got beat as a child.
Right.
You started drinking early as a child, I started drinking early as a child. You know what I'm saying?
We met each other drinking at the bar.
Right. And then, you know what?
Now, only time we get together is when we drink.
At the bar. Or we going out. Or
we get in the bottle and drinking.
Come back to the house and Netflix and chill with a fifth.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So now we've trauma bonded our whole relationship. So that's when it's like another, like say for instance, a man decides, I don't want this no more.
Right.
And then he started going to church every Sunday.
Right.
And now you're like, hey.
Now you're a square. Or,
you're different now.
Yeah.
You changed up on me.
Yeah.
You was this way before, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens,
Yeah.
Andre.
And then that's when the negative words come, like you a square. You all this.
Yeah.
And then now maybe come physical because of,
yes, because I don't know how to deal with you.
Right.
I don't know how to deal with you.
But you still love them because you've been around them so much.
Right.
Or somewhat love.
Mm-hmm. What's your
so now you're dealing with the verbal abuse
and aggression and everything like that.
Right. Will still trigger you to do.
That's so true, Andre.
Right.
That's the manipulation of how trauma bonding works with people. We get together based on these variables, but once one of us tries to come up out of the muck,
right.
And Mar, you know what I'm saying? Now I don't know what to do with you because
I don't want to kick you out.
Yeah. Listen.
Or leave or
nope.
Now, or you don't want me to leave now.
Nope.
Like the crack.
No, they will not.
Yeah.
No, they will not.
Right.
Because now I don't even, I feel comfortable with you even though you're not who I really thought that you were. That's when that spiralness goes out of control too. The cheating. Now, the hiding of the phone. Let me flip the phone over. I'm just playing. But it's the truth.
Right.
So now, sometimes, like I told you, I had my conversation with my friend girl, and she was like, she can't even touch the phone. And like, he's become so super defensive. These are things that we're talking about. It's like, why do you feel like it's okay for you not to have a mutual respect for each other as well? Because I feel like, that secretive and that lying and that trying to demonstrate the fact that I can get other people.
Right.
When you reach a certain age, I feel like that's the most childish thing in the world to me. If you're 50 years old and still getting young girls to get in your inbox at 20 in their teens, and you're 50 years old and you're like, she said hey to me.
Right.
Why are you still out here looking like that?
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
I mean, I really have like some hard understand. Like for real, I can't understand why a man would be like at a certain age, because I thought by a certain age, like in their 30s, in their 40s, you know what I'm saying, they ready to just, settle down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could be lying to myself.
Right.
Could be.
Well, everybody's already been settled down, and
You
that's the time for them to the midlife crisis type of thing, because they might have been settled down the whole
True.
20, 30
They
years
could
before.
go into that spiel too, where they're, like, listen, I've been with my wife for 30 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And now I feel like I need to test the waters. But what is the testing of the waters?
I don't know. It's just something new. It's just something new that they never.
I wish
experienced.
Miss Marilyn was here. Miss Marilyn, but I'm telling you that's crazy to me. But I know people do that because I know women still do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing is what that whole conversation right there was kind of just like wild, because you're like, what at what time and what reason would you have to still be trying to test and see if you still got it?
Right.
Why do you want to know if you still got it? What attention are you seeking that you really need this attention at home or something? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think that's what I struggle with understanding from a woman's perspective. Because in variation, there are all different types of women. I'm not saying that one woman is this single way, or one man even is a single type of a way, because people change. Even the evolution as that little, we just talked about how things just change for you when you get older. But I still wonder, for the most part, do women think in that facet that I need to go out here and check and see if I still got it?
Yeah. I've met a lot of, divorcees. They've been like 20, 30-year marriages, and they go out and act wild, And like, why? Then like 5, 10 years later, then they're like, man, I shouldn't have did that, It was just...
That's confusing to me. It really is confusing to me.
Yeah. But they've been so, tied down with the work at home, or just staying committed, and then boom. It's like a volcano.
Really?
Yeah. I've seen it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of devastating.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as a woman, because you know what? I'm not saying that women don't go through evolutions. And I'm not saying it's almost like a butterfly. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like a woman turning from a caterpillar to a butterfly, because it's like you go through metamorphosis in life.
Right.
But I really believe it's based a lot on, and we can swing on into this topic, Andre. We on the 30 mark almost right here now. But we can swing on into this, Andre, like the evolution of how you become who you are from your surroundings. So we're talking about a caterpillar turning into a beautiful butterfly, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that beautiful butterfly wasn't already inhabited in that caterpillar. It was gonna be that anyway, right? But how do you morph? And is it the things that surround you constantly that turn you into the person that you are today? Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A little bit of that. A little bit of just of what's in your mind, what you've been thinking about all these years.
I don't know how much
that you never got to explore.
Right. I wonder how much of that is the truth, though, because I also wonder about, like, we can swing on back and talk about our neighborhoods and our children and different things like that, because we hit on those areas quite often. But, I was in a meeting and Tracy's online. Mr. Stepney was on there. He was in there as well. And we were, talking about what happens in the neighborhood and the areas in which you live, and how they can construct and make you who you are, ultimately, on the terms of, like, how do you become yourself fully? Because it's like in just how, like, you and me, we have lived in another state. You know what I'm saying? And so just drinking a different water there, You know, when your DNA is tested, or when your cells are tested, you've got that in you now, right?
Yeah. But I've always been like that because I was always traveling since I was like 16, got my license. I was in different states.
But how many people do you know like you did that?
Not many. You know.
Out of how many?
Out of 100, or maybe 1 or 2 out of 100.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm finding.
Yeah. I got friends that ain't even left Decatur.
Yeah, me too. You know, I don't know if they're my friends, but I've got associates.
I grew up with them.
Yeah, I've got associates that I know for sure have never even left Decatur.
Right.
You know what I mean? And how do you, because we were talking about building programs, building structures, building institutions, things like that. I love the fact that Tracy, you know, Days has took the kids all around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They went on the HBCU tours. They've toured in so many different things. And he even took a group of kids over to Africa. You know what I'm saying? So I think of the longevity of getting them, you know, giving them that kind of exposure. How will it affect not only them, but how will it affect their neighborhood?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you give somebody a different perspective, like how many people can you impact on the different perspectives that you give?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, which is why I think like we swing back in and out of this. Relationship building is so critical because you got to have exposure to people, number one. But you also have to have exposure to a variety of people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You got to have, like when you go out to dinner, how do you, table etiquette, dinner, you know, how to cut your steak, how to do this. You know, I learned that very young, you know.
Andre, a lot of people have never even done that before.
Well,
so
what wine goes with what steak?
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, a lot of people have never done that before, Andre. So how do you give them exposure? Or like, how would one person be a teacher to the masses?
Right.
If they've never had.
Right. They have to start small, you know,
Yeah.
group of 5, group of 10.
Yeah.
And then that group of 10 spreads out to 100.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You have to start small because I have to teach one person, then they can teach 2 and 3 and 4. It's going to take time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that'll take quite a length of time.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to delegate between who wants it and who doesn't.
Right.
Because you're going to get them.
Yeah, you're going to get them, but you just can't stop with that. That's why you have to teach a 10. You might get 5 out of 10 that works.
Yeah.
And then that 5 might get, you know, another 5 or 10.
Yeah, that's true.
It's always going to be somebody that doesn't want it. Or doesn't want to pass it on. A lot of people
That's
like that
a
too.
real statement right there.
Yeah, a lot of people want to keep that information for themselves.
Wow.
And act like they're better than everybody else.
Wow.
When they can just teach them and it's a better joy, fulfillment of your life, you know.
Oh my God.
To see somebody doing this, you know, doing better for themselves.
I mean, that's the truth, Andre.
Yeah.
I think about a lot of times, I mean, we're so, you know, I don't know, just living here in central Illinois is a lot different than living, you know what I'm saying, like living in other states.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, when you live here, you know what I mean?
It's like going back into time, kind of.
Listen, I was just telling somebody the other day. I said it's like Mayberry.
Yeah,
it's like
it's definitely
like
going back into time.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, and I was talking to somebody as well. You know, me and this older lady. She had just moved back here. She lived, born and raised in Central Illinois, born in the Midwest, and she was like, I moved to Atlanta, and now I came back from Atlanta. I'm like, how could you? But she said, you know, she's 70 years old now, Andre.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's different than...
it's a slower pace. That's what she...
Right.
You know.
And that's way different than us being in Atlanta, you know, people that we're younger, you know what I mean?
Right.
And we want to have the experiences. I hate the traffic now. I'm not going to lie to you. That flow of that traffic is something different, but it's doable.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But once you're down there, it's a normalcy, you know.
Yeah.
Just like going to reservations. You don't have to get a reservation in Illinois, pretty much, except in Chicago somewhere.
Yeah, true.
But you know, in real like Indiana, you got to get a reservation for a dinner spot or.
And they wouldn't even be able to know what to do with that. A lot of people wouldn't even be able to know how to call and make the reservation, Andre.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even know how to call and make the reservation. Mm-hmm. So you're like, now you're dealing with that, and that's a good one. That's a good question to ask because, you know, is small town city hurting our youth or helping our youth at this point? You know what I'm saying? Because we expect them to be here, right? To thrive on working at Caterpillar, to thrive on working at Kraft. I'm not saying anything's wrong with working at Kraft or Caterpillar. But if they were in different cities where the streams of income, you know, you could experience this or you could do this or you could work in that field or you could work. I worked at this place called Specs in Houston, Texas, and I was a wine seller. Like I would sell wine for a living, right? Where do you know in Decatur or in Champaign where you could sell wine and come? So I'm not talking about working in the store. I'm talking about like you make sales so that you can go out of the state, you can market, you can sell. And they taught me how to do this stuff. You know what I mean? I'm thinking to myself, like, why would I ever want to, you know, like, I can travel all over and I can sell liqueur.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But where would you learn that in Central Illinois?
Right. I have no idea.
And I mean, we got corn in fields. Yeah. We can make wine and husk. We got a
lot of wineries and all that.
We do, Andre, but where do you know that you could get that education?
That's the entry level type of thing. It's not even offered, you know.
Right.
And most people can't even tell the difference between what kind of wine is.
Truly.
What is what.
Truly. But I wonder about that. Like, what exposures to the differences here are they learning from being here versus them? Because I know for sure, like, growing up in the South versus a Northern child raised, right? You know, they know about the streets and crossing the streets at the green and cutting and, you know what I'm saying, jaywalking where you don't get caught up, going to the corner store, you know, going to the candy lady right down the street. Now, listen, growing up in the South, you knew you couldn't go and purchase liquor, Andre, after midnight. Right. But in the bigger cities, you could travel to the bigger city, which might be 30 minutes away, and you could buy alcohol. But in like Brownsville, they cut it off at a certain time. You'd have to travel to Jackson, you know what I'm saying, in order to buy wine. But that was their normalcy versus you could walk, you know, all through the greenery. You could walk most places were country roads and not paved either. And so you wonder about their ingestion of how is this normal? Mm-hmm. And then they go to move to a bigger city and go to college somewhere. And they're like, the getting used to it is, I would think, difficult, right?
Yeah, but they kind of like eased onto it because they would go to bigger cities as teenagers.
Some kids do.
Did, yeah, you know,
right?
And they would get that kind of experience that way too.
Yeah.
So that's how I got my experience when I was younger.
That's what I said. Some kids do, but those that don't, like, how much of a adjustment would that be for them to be like?
Yeah, that'd be a big adjustment.
Would that be anxiety? What would that draw from it?
That would
you
kind
know,
of like pull them back too from not even trying to go to college, you know, or trying to get out. Mm-hmm. That's why we got so many people that ain't never went nowhere.
Right. And so many people that are scared to go somewhere, you know, and I don't think it's from fear of failing. I don't believe it.
They're normal.
You know, I think that, you know, that fear just propels you in a different kind of a way. And I'm like, that's what I wonder for a lot of the kids that we're, you know, servicing, the kids that we run into, kids we talk to, the kids in our family. How much of them are not afraid to go to the next, whatever it is in their life? You know what I mean? Without being like having reservations and holding themselves back from experiencing everything that's out here right now.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
because they're going to experience things, but then you're wondering, like, and as a parent, you know, even we as parents, we're like, did I shield them too much? Did I, you know, hold them back from experiencing everything that they could? Which is why developing relationships with parents has got to be the Marriott and the caveat that we have with the children. Because not only will the children get to experience something new, but the parents will too.
Right. And the parents can actually govern what they're doing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So they won't think it's all bad, you know, and stop them from doing it.
Right.
Or
Because that's what we find a lot, Andre.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we find a lot. A lot of parents will show resistance because I didn't do that.
Right.
And I'm okay.
Or they don't know anything about it, you know.
You know,
Right.
I didn't do the track and the field and the football, and I'm all right.
Right.
And they like, so what's wrong with me because I didn't get to experience those things? And you're not saying that, you know, they're bad people because they didn't get to experience those things. But what you are saying is that, don't you want them to be better than you?
Right. Don't you want them to experience things that you couldn't experience or didn't have the money to experience?
I think that's the biggest question of all, Andre. Don't you want them to experience things that you've never experienced yourself? Yeah. I remember I used to have this anxiety attack every time that they talked about us going on a field trip somewhere. And the reason why, you know, because we grew up Kojic too. But the reason why is because I was like, every bridge that I cross, that means that bridge could collapse and I wouldn't be able to get back to mama.
Yeah, you had a little situation.
Yes, I did.
We just threw a little penny over the bridge. That's all we
Andre, I'm telling you.
We paid the penny for the fare.
Oh my goodness. I thought I was like, if I didn't get back to Sister Lighthouse, like, it's going to be badness that happens, Andre. Man, you don't understand. That was like a big, because they said the world was going to end all the time.
Every time.
They talked about the world ending every time. And if the bridge collapsed from Kentucky to Illinois, how was I going to get back to Illinois with mama? Right. You know what I'm saying?
We paid the fare.
Andre, I went through some mental anguish growing up in the church. We need to talk about that one episode, church trauma. And I ain't talking about church trauma for people talking about you. I'm talking about them nights where you could not sleep because it was an all-nighter at church.
The rapture coming or something.
Man, and the rapture was coming right next door. It was like right outside your back door. And you was like, listen, there's no way I'm going to get out of this. There's no way that I'm going to get out of this.
That 1999.
Ooh. Under that 1999 had me flipping for a minute because I was like, I let the kids go away. I remember that. You know what I mean? Like, Bree and Bubby was up in Illinois, and Andre, I think me and Kiwi celebrated 99, you know, by ourselves. But I was like, oh my goodness. I thought the lights was finna go out. I thought we was finna be doomed for the rest of our life. I was like, Lord, listen, scaring kids to death, it traumatizes them in a different kind of a way. Church trauma. You know, we could talk about it one day, Andre.
Yeah.
But those were crazy instances, you know, growing up in the life, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We were talking about Garment Park. A lot of people, we were reminiscing on the time periods of, you know what I don't think they have, though?
The park leaders.
Do they?
Nope. No park leaders. They had park leaders probably 15 years, probably. Maybe 20.
Decatur don't got park leaders.
Nope.
We were just talking about this. I'm telling you.
I don't think any Illinois place has park leaders in it.
No, because I know Champaign has had some. And if I'm wrong and anybody knows the correct answer on here, reach out and let me know. But does Champaign have park leaders? Because I'm telling you, I was in a meeting with Tracy, and we were explaining, like he was talking about, them renovating and updating, like not Hess, but yeah, I think it was Hess Park, and that other one that's way out, the Kiwanis, right? And that those parks have been updated and renovated, right? And then I was just talking to Shim Sanders about the same thing, because we were like, what happened?
Right.
Did they just stop investing money in it, or what?
Something. Because I haven't seen them. I've not seen
I remember them selling the candy down
me and Cameron used to do
Ooh.
the little concession stands.
Yep.
And all them. But
Yep.
I have not seen that probably in 20 years, since probably 2005, 4.
No concession stands?
Nope.
Leah. I'm wondering, has Leah ever seen a concession stand open? But I think it was like during the one there at the pool.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
So that's a organization type of thing.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just kind of, I wondered about that one right there, because I'm like, what? I haven't seen a concession stand open. I haven't seen anything like that in, oh my gosh, Andre, since we was at Garmin Park, like back in the day.
We used to be Garmin, Monroe, then we go down to Monroe.
Yeah.
And get our little lunches over there.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in quite some time, and I'm wondering what we could actually do in order to make it happen again. I mean, because that comes from the city, right?
I don't know.
No, neither.
Parks and Recreations.
Parks and
Is that-
Recreations, that's what I said. I would
that-
think that came from the city, because each city is entitled to its own, just like how Champaign over here made all these walk parks, right?
Mm-hmm.
They made all these walk parks, all these dog parks and stuff like that in order for the kids to get out here, or, because I think this is the most parks I've seen in one community that are up functioning and upkept.
Right.
In one community. I mean, by far. Their standards are super high over here. Like, if you talk about you can't do parks and recreation and you have no recreations to do, you're not being truthful. Not if you live in here. Because every park, there's parks, within at least every 10 to 20 blocks. Right. At least every 10 to 20 blocks. And then they have outside equipment. So, I mean, and functioning outside equipment, like swings, seesaw.
Water working.
Yeah, and when those do happen in the summertime, they've got a full throttle of kids out there, playing.
300.
Yep, all of it. But when you're around here, it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah, in Decatur, I seen nothing but barred up, graffiti.
Yeah, me too.
Never seen anything.
Yeah, me too.
It wasn't even open when Dad was over there at that nursing home.
Garmin wasn't open back?
Monroe. Right there where Dad was at. That wasn't even open then either.
Oh, that's been quite a while, though. Because I haven't... Did they have turkey tournament this year?
Yeah, Trevor said they had it, but I don't think they had it
in Decatur.
In Decatur, I think it was more on the outskirts.
Wow.
Like Warrensburg and stuff like that.
Okay. I wonder about that, too. I wonder, do they have, like, the basketball tournament? We used to have a lot, and I'm curious as to what happened. Did they restructure some things? Did some things transpire that we don't know about? I mean, I'm curious about a lot of different things.
Maybe they moved to a different section, because Trevor never played MacArthur. He always played like the one out there on Mountain Road, the school out there.
What school is that?
By the post office.
Oh my gosh, what is that? LSA.
Yeah.
LSA. LSA is out there. Okay.
So I never seen him go to like
Did
Eisenhower.
he didn't do, no, St. T is high school. But I thought they were middle school too.
No, well, it was in high school.
Okay. Or that's St. Patrick's, because they send them there as well, right?
Yeah.
And then like Leah was in Our Lady of Lourdes, and so that was up until the 5th grade, right?
Yeah.
And then 6th, 7th is like Stephen Decatur Middle School.
But he's in
Yeah.
sophomore in high school. I've seen him go over to Eisenhower or Decatur or MacArthur. No.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I
They're
wonder.
in different sections. Like
Yeah, I wonder about that. That's kind of like what happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what happened? Like why? But also, you saw what they were. I don't know if you saw what they were getting ready to do as far as the schoolings were concerned either. You know what I mean? Like the consolidations of the schools and how they were anticipating on doing that as well.
Oh, maybe that's one.
Yeah, they're finna consolidate the schools because of decline in the. It's Clifford Jacobo, but I'm finna text him. But yeah, the declines in the schools and different things like that. You know what I'm saying? So I just wonder a lot of like where everybody is also moving to, Andre.
Right.
You know, and why is it? What are we going to do about restructuring for jobs opportunities, trainings? There's so many variables that come with that.
Right. Even do they still have a vocation center?
No, I haven't heard anything about it. Other than, I haven't heard anything about that. Like me and Marco was just talking about this as well. You know what I'm saying? As far as like, they're not teaching them the same things how we were when we were going to school. Like the capabilities of going to school. I remember back in the day, Mr. Johns, and I was just talking to Nick Freno about that. I did an interview with him this past week, and we were talking about Mr. John's School of Cosmetology. You used to be able to go to one of those schools and become a cosmetologist. You used to be able to go and become like a CNA. You used to be able to go to the schools, you know, to an alternative something. You know what I'm saying?
Massage therapist, all type of things.
All kind of things that require just like the cert. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like wondering, is this the hands-off nature that we're getting into? You know what I mean? Like, but these jobs are necessary and needed.
Right.
It's not like they're not a need for this, right? Man, oh my goodness. That's a lot to cover. You know, that's a huge amount to cover right there. Listen, there's like 6 minutes left until the show. You got any pertinent topics you want to hit right now before we get ready to get off of here? The weather is changing. The seasons are changing upon us right now. What's next month going to be? Easter?
Easter. I have no idea what Sunday it is. It's always changing. I don't even know what. Is it the third Sunday or is it the second Sunday?
I remember when Easter used to be a thing, Andre. Remember when Easter used to be a really, really huge thing?
Yeah.
Do they still set out Easter baskets? Because I hadn't thought about that
Yeah,
either.
they still do the Easter baskets.
Yeah, I hadn't.
But I don't know if
really thought of
they get dressed up, you know, say their little Easter speech.
Does anybody do that anymore?
I don't know.
I guess Kalia and Kamaya couldn't do it anymore because they're older.
Yeah, like 16 now.
Right.
I mean, and nobody young now doing.
I mean,
Except for
other
Rylan.
bubby kids,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, we ain't got no, little kids.
They all teenagers now.
They are, you know, and that's a scary situation because now you're wondering, like, to yourself a lot of times as well, like, man, ain't no traditions no more.
No.
There's no traditions for real no more, Andre. Like, what happened out here? I don't hear a bunch of African American families talk about that at all.
Right.
I mean, I hear them say they going to grandma's house if grandma is alive.
Right.
But most 9 times out of 10, grandma's in like what? Skilled living center,
Yeah, or
nursing
grandma
home.
out in the club.
Man,
Yeah,
Andre.
I know some.
Oh my
I know some
goodness.
grandmas that's
That's
younger than me, grandmas.
younger than 45.
Yeah.
I was a young grandma, Bubby. But I wasn't that young, was I? Yes, I was.
Yeah. What's his name? Was it like 11?
Yeah. What is he, 10? How old is Bub? Yeah, 10 years old, 11. Yeah. Finna be 11. 39. Yeah, on the cusp of being 39, 40. But yeah, 30, 38, 39, something like that. Yeah, but I don't hear nobody really talk about, even where they, but I got, like I told you, I got a lot of pastor friends online. I got a lot of first ladies and bishops and everything online. And I'm just wondering to myself, like, I know they're going to have something for their church and the Marriott and, everything going on with their communities. But I'm like, wow, I still don't see a lot of people attending, even in them saying that, because most of these churches and most of these pastors that I know don't even live here. That's a deep thought, Andre, because what do the kids believe?
Right.
Do the kids believe?
They believe they even got to go.
Do the kids believe there is a God?
Right. Yeah, we used to get in that church van and roll out.
I know, but I'm talking about, do they even believe there's a God? Like, what's the reason for me to even go and celebrate Easter?
Right.
What is Easter?
Right.
Ooh, that's a good question right there. For young people, I would love to hear their versions of what they think, as far as like holiday celebrations and different things like that. And is it important to celebrate with family? I think the only big holidays that kids really care about is Christmas, Andre. They might do a little something for New Year's, but for real, I don't even see them have parties for that. Not with their families. I'm talking about like with with kids their ages. Because they don't even do they really do dances anymore?
No, they do proms and stuff like that, but not like weekly, like weekly dances and lock-ins.
That used to be
skate-ins.
Andre, you used to go to a dance or have a dance at least once a month. That used to be a real thing. Times have changed.
Yeah, the big old.
But I think it's now for safety protocol, because now what you got to do, wand most people that come into the locations.
Wand them, separate.
Andre,
They're
real.
not there to dance.
Right. They not. Well, gang, it's 3:59 p.m. We've been on live, and you have been on live with Afternoons with Delight. Andre, you got any last minute words to say to everybody?
Just be safe out there. Take care of each other.
Take care of yourself and each other. Wasn't that Alex Trebek who used to say that? Leah, you got any last minute words over there you want to acknowledge the people? All right then, gang. Well, it has been live. You've been on live with Afternoons with Delight. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in, and have a great evening. I will talk to you all and see you all later. Bye.
What's up, y'all? This is your boy, DJ PJ Clark, with the After Work Drive Show, right here on 104.5.
It was so funny because me and Marco was just talking. But hey guys, thanks so much for coming on with me. I appreciate everybody that got on today. I will talk to you later. Have a great night all, and see you on the next round.